playing more, and I've
By the
definitely
way,
had periods. Go on.
people were constantly saying back then, "Oh, games are getting tougher. Games are getting tougher." They were saying that all the fucking time. Like, remember the days, like the 2008 days on Party Poker, man. That's what they were saying. Like, and now people said, "Oh, games are getting tough, dude. The games are so tough." I mean, that's always relative, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
that's going to be the thing.
saying that.
In every game or every competitive venue, the ceiling is going to get higher and higher, right? And people are going to feel like, okay, it's tougher than it used to be, and blah, blah, blah. Of course it is, yeah. So when I got back into poker in 2017 or whatever, I had like a new respect for money, where now I was kind of trying to, I realized that, okay, if I take this like very seriously and grind hard and study and like treat it more like a job, which I didn't do in like 2008, 9, whatever. I kind of treated it as like another fun game, you know, or whatever. But now I decided I was going to treat it like a job and be very serious about it and blah, blah, blah. And try to spin it up and be able to retire young or whatever. Like, try to secure my future, right? So then I was doing that for a few years, grinding and building it up. And like, yeah, I had like my goals and my ambitions and blah, blah, blah. And then I won the main event, and now, of course, that changes everything again, because now those financial ambitions are not there anymore. I wasn't ready. I didn't feel like I was ready to like go on a beach in Thailand and just live out my days there, you know? I kind of felt like I still had stuff to do in poker. I still had like stuff to prove or whatever, like the inner ego or whatever. So I decided I was going to have to find a new motivation to keep competing in poker, and that was going to be basically to prove that I'm not a one-hit wonder by competing in Tritons and high rollers and WSOP and whatever it is, you know, like, yeah, very silly, these insecurities, how those drive our motivation. But yeah, I decided that was going to be my next step. Honestly, like right now, over the last like 6 months or whatever, I've been kind of struggling dealing with this, because I was unsure if this ego-driven success seeking is really healthy. So yeah,
You're really deep on this. I thought about this too. But I want to ask you other questions first before we do that. I mean, I would ask simply, what is healthy? That would be my next question. But that's a tough question to answer in a way.
Can I ask what your perspective is on this? Because you've been in poker now for fucking forever, and you've been at high stakes forever, and for sure money was a big motivation for you at some point. I don't know if it still is, or if you changed, or if that just became like a... How has your journey been on this?
I'll start with that question, what is healthy and what is good? That was the real question that I asked, is what is good? Or at some point I asked that question, what the fuck is this good stuff? So, because it actually kind of gets to this point when you're thinking about earning more points, you can say earning more money. Because going deep and thinking about things a bit more, it wasn't that clear. Especially when we're talking about earning points or money, there's one variation of points, or we're talking about okay, what to do with your life kind of thing. I think that the ego is very supportive. It's supportive, ultimately. It's hard to do when you're like truly wanting to do without having your ego involved in some kind of way. Even though it's not perfectly efficient in, like, if you really think about it, but it does like kind of push you using real world and tangible benefits towards things that will motivate you on the whole. It can be through pain, it can be through insecurity, it can be through dreams, things like of that nature. So there's all that. I think that I ultimately came to the conclusion that it was in my nature, as it probably is for yours and for many of the people watching this, that they're motivated by growing, particularly their own legacy, which will generally be in the form of making money, especially with the various insecurities and various tangible problems like being stuck in one location and not being able to do what they want, or not be able to like go to nice places kind of thing. So to answer your question, at some point when you make enough money, we already know this by science, that the utility of making more and more money goes down for most people. Well, it just does go down in terms of happiness. And at some point you ask the question, okay, why would my success and my building my legacy, or cetera, like doing something in competitive space, be constrained precisely to, my poker success was? Why would it have to stay there? So basically, what ended up happening for me was I realized, okay, it doesn't stay constrained to just money and poker success, and I decided to go elsewhere and to do something that involved poker, but turn it a little bit. And this is how the podcast got involved, and I got more into this idea of like, okay, what if I could build my influence in the right kinds of ways, and make more positive impact, because that would last forever. Money does not, and money decreases in value. It didn't affect my happiness to have a bit less money. So that was more or less where I went with all of that. And to answer the question of what is health, I mean, this would be more of the question of like what is good for oneself to grow, to be honest. I would say, like, for that, I wondered particularly if there's diminishing returns for things. I actually want to talk with you about that. But I would say health is more like just related to quality of life and making sure you have the best quality of experience as possible overall. I would look at it from that perspective. I mean, if I was going to optimize for health, which I don't 100% do. Speaking of which, I have the horror rank, but I don't have it on me. I would like be looking at things for. What's that?
What's your HRV?
What's my HRV? I don't know. This may be why the fish. I should know. I think it's like 120 or something. I don't know.
It's pretty good.
I'm not 100% sure. I need to check. But it must be pretty good. I work out like 5 times a week. I can't be too bad. I never get sick. So, health, I presume, would just be quality of life. And so I imagine at least solving this problem for yourself and for other people to think more in these terms of what actually activates, makes you feel like you accomplished something or makes you feel positive. I would presume the answer would be in those directions. Well, firstly, what are your thoughts on that? And did you have any further aspirations other than beating these tournament guys, proving that winning more money at these nosebleeds?
I'm not sure. I'm still debating it in my head. Like, it's a very, because poker is such a big part of my identity right now. It's been like the community that I've been in for the last 7-8 years or whatever. And even before that, like throughout my whole life, poker has been a big part of me. Wants to step away a bit and focus a bit more on other things in life, because it can feel a bit one-dimensional if you're all in on poker for a very long time. I've always had the approach that if you're all in on poker and you let other life aspects suffer, then you're gonna be in a lot of pain when poker isn't going your way. So I was always trying to be fairly balanced in terms of doing like progressing in other areas of my life, like reading a lot of books, working out a lot, meditating, journaling, doing whatever to progress as a human being as well, not only as a poker player. Because I know that if you only, like if everything you do, you see yourself through the lens of I am a poker player, that is my self-worth. And whenever you're not, let's say you're going a downswing or you just have like 6 months where you just brick everything, you're gonna feel like not great if that's the only area of your life that you're working on, right? But if you still have your relationships, you have your health, you have whatever, you're progressing in other ways in life, then it's gonna be a lot more tolerable, I think. So yeah, but for me, it's kind of difficult to say right now, at least, like what my goals are in terms of. Part of me wants to like keep playing high stakes and compete and try to build this legacy you're talking about. It is kind of attractive, I think. Part of me wants to be less relevant, less competitive, less addicted to all the dopamine that comes from social media and all this shit, that we're all very, or most of us, very addicted to at this point. And of course, you can be highly competitive and not have anything to do with social media. I'm not saying that it's like you actually see that most of the people at high stakes are actually not on social media much, right? If you look at the people that are at the very top, most of them don't have a big social media presence. I was kind of after the main event thinking that I should capitalize on the momentum that I have in terms of attention and blah, 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 and try to build a personal brand out of the situation and try to be active on Instagram and YouTube and whatever, right? But yeah, this is another thing that I'm like, debating if it's actually helpful, healthy.
Well, depends on what your goals are, right? Because social media, as being social, in my opinion, is not necessarily good or bad. It's how we're using it. And, I think if your goals are to build your brand and all of that, there's all kinds of healthy ways to use social media. I use plenty of social media. I mean, I don't always use it healthily, but I guess ideally you want to use it healthily. Huge percentage of the time, anyway. I mean, majority percent. I think just basically it's become more or less a platform for people to expound on their vices, as is anything. It basically just shows people how fucked up the culture is, and in some kind of way it's real in that sense, in my opinion. I actually want to mention I'll give you a second to comment on what I just said if you'd like, but I also want to mention a couple possibilities of sorts that you said you were a fat slob at some point. This is close. And that you were able to turn your life around. This is actually quite an accomplishment. And I think that there probably is a population in poker that can resonate with that and resonate with wanting to do that and change that about themselves. And also that you joined the army at 18. That's an interesting story, too. I'm pretty surprised by that, especially considering you were kind of doing the opposite of joining the army, which is playing online
very
poker.
much. I had no belonging in the army at all. I was the opposite of what you would think of as a soldier. I had no discipline. At that point, I was over 100 kilos, and I had 0 grams of muscle on my body. Literally 0 grams of muscle. I'd never been in the gym. I spent most of the days just in front of my computer playing World of Warcraft or playing poker, and I was in very bad shape. Yeah, socially, I was very awkward. I was a very different person back then. And when I meet people now, people have a hard time believing that it's me if I show them pictures or videos or whatever, because I was such a different person. And I think the year in the army itself helped a lot, because I learned a lot about discipline, and I was kind of forced to grow up very fast, going from being very immature, lazy guy to to basically having to wake up 5 a.m. every morning to do a bunch of push-ups and whatever else nonsense they had us do, And then after the army, I kind of I lost 18 kilos in the army. I gained some strength, and I lost a lot of fat. And then when I got out of the army, I kind of tried to keep the gym routine going, but I was also partying a lot and not eating too healthy. So I gained decent amount of weight again after army, maybe 5 or 10 kilos back, but I was at least strong and fat, not just fat as before. Debatably, in better shape, but still not in good shape, I would say. And then it's been it's a continuous journey of some periods where I'm very strict, I get in very good shape, and then I have periods where I let it slide a little bit again, go and pick it. At this point, I'm kind of okay with it.
I thought you told me that you never eat junk food, and you seem like you're in good shape. I feel like there's something in between where you went to strong and fat to just strong and in shape. I feel like there's a missing piece here.
Not really a missing piece. It has just been a grind, continuous grind, basically. I think I got in the best shape of my life during COVID, because I just decided, okay, this is a great opportunity to get in the best shape of my life and become the best poker player that I can be. So during COVID, I had very long periods where I didn't touch alcohol, didn't touch sweets, just working out 12 times per week and being very, very on point with everything.
12 times a week.
The mystery's solved. No
I was very on point for some time there. Yeah.
All right.
So, but now I don't eat junk food. I really don't like junk food, but I do like fine dining and going to tasting menus and having super nice desserts and shit like that. I love dessert, but I'm not.
No, that's junk food, man. That's called junk food. Desserts.
Okay, sure. Maybe it is. When I think junk food, I think burgers and pizzas and kebabs and shit like that. But
kebabs aren't so bad. I don't think. But yeah, I don't even eat
10
burgers,
seconds.
pizzas. I don't remember the last time I ate a fucking pizza, to be honest. But
Yeah.
I'll have some desserts. I get some desserts sometimes, more than sometimes.
Let me enjoy my desserts, bro. It's not junk food, is it? McDonald's is junk food.
Huh?
I don't know.
Well, okay, guys. So it sounds like you can eat your desserts and junk food as long as you go to the gym 12 times a week. Probably not quite 12 times a week. I'm in pretty good shape. I do about 5+ times, not counting martial arts. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do the same now. I go 5 times a week. I lift 3 times a week. I do high intensity cardio 2 times a week, and then I walk 14K steps per day on average, maybe. So I walk a lot.
why are you walking so much? Why?
I don't know. Walking is GTO, bro. You can listen to audiobooks, you can listen to nature and like let your brain do its thinking and processing of stuff. I don't know. Walking is GTO.
What I mean is, yeah, sure, but like, where are you walking to?
I just walk around the lake where I am now. I'm in Bucharest and I live right next to like a park and a lake. So I just go there and I do a lap and that's like 11K steps or whatever.
Why are you in Bucharest? It's not known for its nice views. What's there?
This area is actually very nice. My impression of Bucharest was also not the best before I came here, I think. But this area is very nice. I'm like in the rich part of the city, so you just see like fancy cars and very beautiful people, and yeah, and it's nice to like nature right next to here, which is nice. But yeah, no, just new girlfriend. So I moved here to see. Yeah, started dating a girl 3 months ago or something like that. So I've been here for a couple of months now, and then I go to Monaco in 3 days for Triton, then come back here for a bit, and that, yeah.
I did something similar, by the way. That was my reason for going to Bucharest. Was not
The Romanian
surprise, not because the city was such a amazing city, because I had a girlfriend there. And another thing is that I don't know if it's a foreigner thing, and I do want to actually advise on this, but it's my recommendation for a lot of first world guys. I don't know if you have much experience with this because you came from Norway, right? You came from a small town in Norway. It's probably pretty innocent, I would guess. I do want to ask about that, but the dating situation and the first world, the Western world cultures, those tends to be not very what's the word? Not very beneficial for the majority of guys. And so it tends to be better in other places, such as Eastern Europe. But I do worry that many of those sorts of guys will bring their toxic dating patterns to Eastern Europe, etc. But I don't think that. I would think that actually you're probably in pretty healthy of a place. I think you came from a pretty healthy place from Norway, and Levanger is how you say it, in the small town. I would think it was such a nice town and everyone was good to each other and that kind of thing. Or am I wrong? Why don't you tell us about how it?
Yeah, so I'm from a small city called Steinkjer. It's like 23,000 people, and the place you mentioned is where I'm born, but it's not where I grew up. It's just yeah, there's no hospital in my little city, so yeah.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, no, it's I don't know. I don't have the fondest memory or association to my city until kind of recently. I always thought of it as a bit of like a boring place, not much is happening there. And my childhood wasn't particularly great, I would say, in the sense that I was like this very socially awkward little kid. I got bullied a bit and didn't have like the
Really?
easiest situation at home maybe at all times, and yeah, some stuff like that. So I never had like the most romantic association to my hometown, but now I've kind of learned to appreciate it a lot. So when I'm home there now, I'm very happy when I'm there because it's so quiet, it's so peaceful. I live right next to the lake there as well, or the sea, and there's forest, there's all the stuff that you could want for inner peace, which is yeah, very nice if you've been in Vegas for 7 weeks or like a real yeah. So now I appreciate it a lot, but I used to think that it was just like some very boring place where
Yeah, it's hard for these little towns to probably very similar to the opposite of this. Very superficial because I would think that. Huh?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it as well. That when I go there now, I get to meet normal people, you know, and hang out with my friends who are not part of this world and this universe, who have like their regular life problems and their regular life views on things, and their perception of the world is so different from what I mostly surround myself with, which is really fucking great. Like it's so nice to be around people working 9 to 5 in a dental office or whatever, you know, who have a very different view of the world than most gamblers who just travel around and like live this life. You know, it's it's very refreshing, I'd say.
Can you give some examples of how things may differ?
I don't know. Maybe it's put me on the spot here. I just feel like it's a very different mentality. Good question. Good question. Also, like the sample size is small, of course. Like I'm comparing like my small subset of friends in my little hometown to some of the guys that I meet in the poker world.
Well,
right? It's not.
I would think that people, well, there's a certain tendency for people to think that their own world is all there is. It's just a myopic kind of tendency. It's very hard to like break this until you realize that you start traveling and see that other people don't think the same thing. So there's a certain element of open-mindedness. One thing I personally, there's a book about this that talks about how the first world actually does have this on a larger scale. It's called weird culture, Western educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic culture. It's actually a whole culture of first world, but there's of course other variations, such as whatever's going on in small towns that may not really be a part of that, especially in Norway, which is not really that mainstream. So I think there'd be differences there. I mean, obviously the fact that they're working 9 to 5s and don't have that much money to travel or free time or married or whatever it is that keeps them locked down to many places. I think that that's going on too. They might also think gambling is degenerate or poker is degenerate, some along those lines. What else they may, depends on, they may have a different view of dating as well.
I think that's been a big thing for me, that just in terms of like the girls that I've met over the last few years, I've met some great girls as well, but especially in some places of the world, you tend to meet more of the transactional type, who from some cultures where they put a lot of emphasis on the appearance of the females and less emphasis on mental health and values and other things, maybe like in some of these places, like Vegas, Dubai, LA, Miami, whatever, like there's like a lot of people with a lot of plastic surgeries, like fake lips, fake boobs, fake everything, and very different, perception of the world, I would say. Like if you go to my hometown, like no one is talking about like lip fillers and like all these things, it's not really a thing. And just not being surrounded by that whole universe is really fucking sweet, I think.
I haven't had too many conversations about lip fillers, to be fair. But then I don't know.
Yeah, people.
There is heavy focus on short-term stuff or superficial stuff like appearance in a lot of cultures. So I also read that I want to ask also about not getting the money from the main event for 6 months. That's pretty strange. Can you tell us about all that?
I got it all in the end, but the IRS was refusing to accept my UK proof of residency. I didn't have like the proper certificate of residency. I just had like other things. I had a document from the government saying that Aspen lives in London and he's here, but it wasn't the official certificate of residency. It was more like I don't remember what they called it, but the IRS wouldn't accept it, and it took a long time. So I could have taken out the money on like day one after winning it, but I would have had a 30% withholding tax, right? And $2 million, and reclaiming that could take a long time, they told me. So I decided I would rather wait and try to figure it out. So
that's kind of salty. I would try to fight for that $3 million also.
Yeah, I mean, I just waited, but of course, in a time where interest rates are decently high, like it's quite a bit of money, right? Like $10 million at 4% interest for half a year is what, like 200K. So it does matter in the end, like having the money locked up, just sitting there. Yeah, but of course,
Yeah, well, definitely.
it worked out in the end, and yeah.
All right, glad it worked out. It'd be pretty bad beat if WSOP screwed you over. So you said that the tag team bracelet was more stressful. Why is that? Especially, it's like a $1,500 bracelet, isn't it?
No, not more stressful, more enjoyable in the moment. I thought that because I was more able to feel the moment, like winning it with a close friend and like that whole thing. It was a really cool moment. While winning the main event was a bit, maybe a bit overwhelming. It was like maybe more a sense of relief because, you know, like for me, it was more about not fucking up. It was more like a professional pride kind of thing. I didn't want to punt or do anything stupid or play bad poker on the biggest final table of the year. You know, like it was more like a professional pride thing. And I think I felt more like relief in the sense that I think I played the best I could at least. So yeah, it was more that. But yeah, the tag team was cool. Very cool event. Of course, it's 1,500 buy-in. And no, it was less. It was 500 per person. It was 1K in total. I think we won a total of 150K. So 75K each or something like that. So of course the money was not... It was okay. Like it's still a lot of money, but it wasn't like anything life-changing like the main event, of course.
Yeah, I would have thought it was not worth that much. I personally thought this was an interesting format for games, and the whole idea of there being teams for poker could change things a little bit, make things a little bit more interesting. But it seems like it hasn't gotten that much reception. Do you think it's a good idea to have more team events? Yeah, do you think this would attract more people?
I'm not sure. I think like it seems like a lot of the people that play that event enjoy it a lot. People think it's a lot of fun. Like, especially if you do it the way that me and Patrick did it. Like we played basically half the event, each of us. You know, we swapped in and out, and like, yeah, we played it as a tag team event. A lot of people that play a tournament, they like play it with their dad or their girlfriend or whatever, and like the girlfriend plays like one orbit, and then you come and take over for the rest of the tournament, basically. So it's like, yeah, then it doesn't have the same like team feeling, probably, maybe, right? But the way we did it, I think was very fun. Like I had a lot of fun during that tournament, swapping in and out and discussing hands. And
I'd like to see it be experimented more with, and some other sorts of things being experimented more.
It is a cool format, I think.
Be nice to talk with some of the tournament organizers, but more formats, different kinds of games are what would drive more action anyway and create more edges. I would think there's quite some edge in this too. What are your thoughts on the edge of the tag team bracelet?
I mean, very big. I don't know how to estimate it in terms of ROI, but very, very big. Like, yeah, it becomes kind of turbo-y at some stages towards the end, I guess. So the edge will decrease towards the end, but in terms of softness of the field, it's unbelievable. It must be one of the softer tournaments during WSOP because of this factor that you have people playing with their friend from high school or their dad or their mom or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, I would think that's a great sign. And I mean, I personally think, I mean, I don't know why they didn't make the Triton events a bit like this, the Triton Invitationals. So, yeah, I mean, if they're soft too, that's even better. Which other events would you say are soft and worth looking at for other aspiring players? Not necessarily in the main events, or not necessarily at WSP, is what I meant to say. Go ahead.
Okay, you mean in terms of tournament series and what stops to play, basically?
Anything.
I would say that I was very positively surprised after playing in Asia quite a bit last year. Like I went and played in Taipei in Taiwan, and I played in Jeju in South Korea. And the poker scene there seems to be blowing up quite a bit, and the games are very, very soft, I would say. Yeah, I think it's insane value in terms of you get to stay in like insanely nice 5-star hotels for a lot less than it costs in Europe and US. The stops themselves as well, like tournaments, they're usually not as high stakes unless there's like some Triton or WPT or something. Most of the stops over there, like APT and so on, are a bit lower stakes. But if you're like low or mid stakes or starting to move into high stakes, I think it's very sick to play those stops. Of course, there's a lot of travel time, but if you're free to travel and you can just go over to Asia and stay for a few months, I think it's like insane value to play those stops. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
Actually, Taipei would be my suggestion as well. And I would say that there are some larger stakes games coming up, matter of fact. And I was pretty impressed with some 3-6, 5-10 games. I was just playing I wanted to gather a little bit of research and recon, but I managed to win about $15,000 like in a few hours at 3-6 somehow. But I mean, it was a big swing, and I was wrong. I lost money, I guess. Some guy made a very questionable bluff that was super deep. A very questionable a lot of things that were super deep against me, and I didn't believe him. Folded him. So
he wanted to tell a story.
I guess so, or he thought that it would work. It depends what he was thinking. So yeah, Taipei is actually a pretty good spot. Poker's legal there. They have a weird rule of making cash games like tournaments, but other than that, it's I would definitely suggest that for people in Asia in general. Poker has a pretty bright future in Asia, and it's actually kind of a good thing that things are slowly opening up, which is wild serendipity. Actually, I don't think people realize why that's good. That's good because like things will dry up immediately in an industry that's not 100% fixed, meaning there's not opportunity expanding. It's more like people lose their money. So
we played a cash game together in Asia last year somewhere. You were dressed like some king of the sea or whatever. Where was this?
No,
we played like 1500 or whatever. It was like with Hecklan and Alex Weiss.
That was Taipei, dude.
That was in Taipei.
Yeah.
Right.
I was dressed as a wise sage. I was giving the wisdom power rankings. You were like kind of high in the wisdom power rankings, actually.
Yeah,
I think you were like top 3 or something. Is it true?
Probably not true, but I'll take the compliment.
Okay. Why is it not true? Why are you not top, like, high on the wisdom power rankings?
I don't know. It seemed like a pretty high IQ lineup. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Who did you put that number? Yeah, depends what you mean by wisdom. Like, wisdom can be a lot of things. Like, you mean like accumulated life experiences and like you.
I think wisdom means like, haven't you seen those movies with like the old guy? Usually the old guy is wise. It's not the high IQ. The high IQ can mean lots of things. Like you could have IQ and buried on crazy rabbit holes that are very self-destructive. But wisdom is like, it's making right choices that are good for you. That's what wisdom is.
I wouldn't say that I'm high up on that list particularly. At least right now, I feel very low on that list because I feel like over the last couple of years, I've made a lot.
All right. There is only another tournament that I want to play in 11 minutes. So I think I'll just wait until I've got four tournaments going, and I'll get back on stream. So I'm just going to end the stream and come back when I got 4 tables going. Thank you for watching. Take care.